Yataksasu manobudis
Tatvadrikvastabandhana
Astita paramam yogam Nadiham bhupute katham
Yato controlled Aksha senses Asu life air Manaha the mind Buddhi intelligence Tatvadrik one who knows the tattvas the material and spiritual energies Vastabandhanaha liberated from bondage Ashritaha being situated in Paramam the supreme Yogam absorption trance not Deham the material body Budhe perceived Gatam left. Translation. That HG Muni controlled his senses, life force, mind and intelligence and became absorbed in trance. Thus he cut all his material bonds. He could not perceive how his material body became separated from his self. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The Lord says in the Bhagavad Gita, Antakale chamam devam smaram tvakalevaram yaprayati sikmat bhavam yati nashti atra samshaya. Whoever at the time of death quits his body remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Of course, one must practice before one is overcome by death. But the perfect yogi, namely the devotee, dies in trance thinking of Krishna. He does not feel his material body being separated from his soul. The soul is immediately transferred to the spiritual world. The soul does not enter the womb of a material mother again, but is transferred back home, back to Godhead. This is yoga. Bhakti yoga is the highest yoga system as explained by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita. Yoginamapti sarvesham matkatinatmana shravan bhajate yomam saneyuktatamo mataha. Of all yogis, he always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. The Bhakti Yogi always thinks of Krishna and therefore at the time of death he can very easily transfer himself to Krishna Loka without even perceiving the pains of death. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nam Namaste Saraswati Devam Kuravani Pracharana Nirvishesha Shnivari Pushkati. That HG Muni controlled his senses, life force, mind and intelligence and became absorbed in trance. Thus he cut all his material bonds. He could not perceive how his material body became separated from his self. This shloka gives us an interesting insight into the way how to change or how to exit this body. Normally one would think that if you give up something, you are aware of then what you are giving up. That's usually the process. You have something and you say no, you know what it is, so you give it up. But here it's interesting information. One is so absorbed in trance, that means actually in Krishna, one doesn't even feel the body. One doesn't even the consciousness is simply not there. Thinking, feeling and willing is not connected to the body anymore. In other words, one left the body. Prabhupada also defines, interesting, change of body of change of consciousness, change of mind. And that can happen even, all the time. So we are in our stage, we are in a highly schizophrenic stage because the consciousness is wavering from the body to a spiritual subject, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's practicing. We are just practicing how to always remember Krishna and never forget Him, which is the basic principle. There is no other principle actually in Krishna consciousness as always remember Krishna and never forget Him. That's the reason why we follow the other principles. Because you cannot tell to the drunkard, always remember Krishna and never forget Him. Yeah, he will forget Him the next minute because he's drunk. You cannot tell to a lusty man, please remember Krishna. When? What? When I have illicit sex life, how do I remember Krishna really? That wouldn't really work. You know, it's very unpleasant. Because it's exactly opposite. It's like jumping in the water and trying to stay dry. This is very difficult. How do you do that? You know, of course that's called Kama Mishra Bhakti. One still tries to do that. It's actually pathetic. One is engaged in Krishna consciousness, simultaneously one is protecting one's material desire. You know, so how does it work? It's just, it's completely contradictory. Or like entering fire and trying to stay cool, you know, it's just, how does it work? So basically what Prabhupada Maharaj is saying, to surrender Krishna is very easy actually. It's just, you give up that idea, and here, in the higher stage, you even forget what you renounced. You're just simply not connected. There's no connection. You know, people can bring the same thing, which is to be even attached to. And you are just, it doesn't mean anything. That's a very pleasant realization. And sometimes devotees have to go out and try because they think it could still mean something. Maybe there is something there. So you go out there, and why you are actually striving for doing the same thing you used to do, you realize it's completely different. I cannot enjoy this anymore. It doesn't work. It simply doesn't work. It's a very pleasant realization. So sometimes that's actually where the real pain comes, when one is dwindling between these two things, spiritual life, material life, spiritual life, and one goes back and forth like this. Because we are the marginal energy. Marginal energy is given that freedom, minor freedom, Prabhupada called it, that we can decide how it's going to be today. Something material or something spiritual. And the more advancement one makes, the more subtle it gets. And, you know, in the beginning it's just, oh no, today I will not eat the sausage. No. Or, you know, today I will not have sex. No. It's very close. But then it moves to a more subtle platform, where one plays with the thoughts, like this. And when the pain derives from material thinking, which fortunately in Kali Yuga we don't receive any reactions for, you know, becomes more and more intensified. That's a sign of advancement. You know, how could I even think like that? You know, or where is this thought coming from? You know, even my father, who is by no means subtle, said, you must have a quite difficult life because for you even the thoughts become painful. He didn't know anything about Krishna consciousness, but he knew how careful he could observe, how careful the devotees are, just to not facilitate the mind in a certain direction. That commands also immediately a certain type of association, because through association, your mind, through just a sound, you don't have to even see anybody. Just a sound, it's enough. And then comes the eyesight, and then comes the, you know, the physical association, you know. Just standing in a subway is enough. You know, it's just so painful. It's just so painful to be in a subway because none of these people standing there has the slightest idea or even guess who Krishna is. You know, they are like remote control zombies standing there, staring in their iPhones or whatever it is, you know, so simply just sometimes even falling asleep, you know. They're just accumulated bodies stuffed in that container which moves the Copenhagen up and down, you know, with no even interactive exchange, not even basic things, not even hello, how are you, and this and that. For village life in the old days, I lived, for not so long time ago, I lived for 10 years in a village of 40 people. Well, it's very difficult really to be in Mayavadi there, because you will be all constantly confronted with somebody, and not because there are so many people, but because whoever is visible moving around will be visible. And it's always hello, good morning. Even you hate the neighbor, you still say hello, good morning. And all this personal rasas and all this is completely in broad daylight. You know when the neighbor gets angry with his wife. You will get to know when there's a Czech village so that things are really gross. I don't think they have this in Denmark in villages like this. Rather here it's more quiet. But Czech village, I remember when the son of the neighbor came drunk 2 o'clock in the morning home. His father got so angry, so he took some big piece of wood and smashed his car to pieces. So you can hear that's quite a sound effect there. In the morning, then the whole car was standing in the middle of the little marketplace, with no windows and just mushed up. So that was quite a personal expression of one's anger. So you cannot, avoid, but still these people just very vividly register your existence. Here it's just like really accumulation of bodies with the minds completely. Therefore these iPhones and all this is just, this is samadhi, this is full absorption, such a concentration. They are so focused. They are not the body, right away there, because the bodies are just accumulated in a subway, and the minds and the consciousness is totally somewhere else. Therefore they look sometimes like lunatics, because they lie, they speak into these phones and they just, ooh, ah, brr. They completely forget that this has nothing to do with the present circumstance. You are speak like a ghostly haunted person. So this is the atmosphere they created. For a devotee, it's not so different. It's just placed on the right place. It's actually focused on Krishna. It's actually Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam all the time. And the more one intensifies the process, the more one becomes just disconnected. And the ideal perfectional stage is like the Diksha, that you just really not even aware. To be separated from the body is extremely painful. It's not just the attachment, it's a physical process too. For yogis, they raise the light wave from one chakra to another, up to Brahmarandra, and they exit the bodies at the top of the head. That takes a severe practice to do that, because it's not given to a very living entity to be able to do so. And also that all these yoga societies completely focus. Chakra here, chakra there. It's complete nonsense, because as once heard Swami Nancy described, because he studied really this subjects always. He said if you would move the life air from one chakra only a little bit, the pain is so immense you will give it up immediately at that time. It's such a painful thing. It's not like ha hoo and boop and here I go. No, it's very violent. Therefore, you see these yogis, when they exited, exploded through the Brahmarandra, the whole body exploded sometimes and put the whole forest on fire. It was forest fire. Oh, another yogi left the body, there was a forest fire. Because it was such a violent process. So devotees don't have to do that. Why should we do that? All these yoga attempts, Prabhupada writes, they are poisonous. They poison the natural process of bhakti. All this, and it's all mental generated. I decide in my mind, I will look through the third eye. This is mine. Therefore yogis are so professionally arrogant and proud. Look, by the dint of my austerity, I achieve my result. And this is my yogic power. And here I will create a universe. It's a story like this. So he created a universe. A duplicate of the heavenly planets. But creation is one part, as we know in Krishna consciousness. It's not so difficult to create something. But how do you maintain it? That's the real challenge. When the maintenance comes, I remember, previous GBC, at the point the Swedish farm was created, he was actually quite perceiving what's going to happen. And it did happen exactly like that. He said, yeah. You bring a new idea, you bring a new project, all devotees will come. In those days it was a substantial greater number of devotees. And they will go, ah! He made like that. Wonderful, let's have a farm. Ah! And they will even go out. Those days they did that. And they collected for that. Farm, we are expanding another farm, another temple, another building, another project. We are making progress. Yeah, and then these things got established, and then what? Then comes the maintenance. They would like, oh, you mean I have to clean the same floor every day, just like that? That's boring. You mean I have to clean the windows, which we never clean? Come on, that's mundane. Oh no, we have to manage this. Somebody lost the keys, we have to make new ones. Oh no, we have to empty the garbage container, because every building has a garbage container in front of it. And then the bills come in. Oh no, we have to pay the bills. Because somehow the devotees consider that we will get a temple and the water flows for free and the electricity shines on its own. No, we will just chant Hare Krishna and get another temple. Hooray! Hooray! Because that's where actually the mode of passion has to go and has to be replaced by some mode of goodness. And that's the difficult part. Because let's face it, we have not even one glimpse of the transcendental world. We are struggling with mode of passion. And when we are afraid, we flop over in mode of ignorance. Mode of goodness? Well, then we wouldn't have this kind of problem we have, isn't it? Because mode of goodness is dominated by duty, by perception of, what has to be done, by perception of one's position within that. It's material still, but of course connected to Krishna, it starts to take spiritual dimension. But no, we are transcendent. Haribo. And we run from one place to another, all over the planet. Because especially when you are not tied up, by some family responsibility. They do it even nowadays, it's even as family members. Some discomfort, divorce, go to Mayapur. Gauranga, and Mayapur is flooded. You can quote me on that, and I'm recorded on this DVD. It's flooded with divorced, deranged, pseudo-sannyasini women who couldn't even sometimes care less for their own children. Therefore, I will never give a lecture in Mayapur. And you can quote me on internet on this. Because probably they will kick me right away out. With this army of these pseudo-sannyasinis. Another sannyasi coming. He is so sweet. Another brahmachari coming. Wonderful. Prabhu, your effulgence is illuminating my heart. You know how much illicit pregnancy and all this kind of stuff comes out of this? I think the managers in Mayapur would agree. Therefore, they try to limit it by some rules. Well, once you're out of the ISKCON compound, what are the rules you want to establish? In these ghettos growing around Mayapur, where any illicit sex flies, any intoxication flies, come on, it's growing in front of your door. As one Swedish bhakta we took to, Mayapur, realized after one parikrama, hey, this stuff is growing everywhere here. We had to very quickly put him on an airplane back to Garibaldi, because he was just excited about the quality of hashish growing on the side of the road in Mayapur. So this is kind of, as one, in a very, very old days, one ISKCON guru commented, this is not Mayapur, this is Mayapur. It's insulting in a holy Dham to conduct this kind of activities, especially exposed to a very quick and very specially ghastly reaction. Here, in an ocean of sinfulness, kind of you blend in, you know. You also get your reactions, but a little bit later. Therefore, the Western people are so cool, because they don't see what's coming. And it's coming usually quite late. You are amazed sometimes. I mean, as a preacher, you are amazed. My God, how these people stay alive? So sinful, so bold, so arrogant, and so offensive. And they are marching here like nothing happened. But in India, therefore India is, because actually the whole India is a holy place, the reactions come much faster. Here a little flat, you know, the whole Bengal, or the whole Bangladesh, just 60,000 people die. Anyway, it's a detail. They will make more, don't worry. They will never die out. That's now one thing on Indians, they will never die out. They are very reproductive. So, you know, and then the reaction, because Krishna is much more offended. The offense comes actually, because it's his land. It's Bharatvarsha, it's his place. And you come there to urinate? Come on. So this is what, you know, what devotee actually, we didn't came here for that. If you want to be really cool and simple, there's a whole world of that. What are you doing here? Why actually become a devotee? What's the use? To struggle so hard and try to avoid something which I actually want to do. So ultimately it's a battle of desires. What do we really want? That comes to every devotee individual and personal. We always expect that somebody will come over and take over our material desire. No, he won't. You know what, even Krishna is doing it. No, that's your desire. That's actually the only thing we really own. It's our desire. And then Krishna goes, so, hey, make up your mind. What do you want? Huh? Well, I don't know really what I want. Okay, then get a guru, he will tell you. Okay, and I will get a guru. My dear Guru Maharaj, what do I really want? And the Guru said, well, I can tell you what you shouldn't want. And I can tell you what you should want. But what you really want, that's again up to you. Make up your mind. You know. It's recorded. Anyway. Females are very much like that. They always expect you to, first of all, to understand their desires, then to facilitate them, and then to regulate them. And they will sit there on the pseudo-Haivyasa and make the judgment if your performance is correct or not. Well, it doesn't work like this. Not from Krishna's point of view, and from anybody's point of view. We have to take responsibility for our lives, and that makes life sometimes difficult. Because how do I avoid to get what I want? Prabhupada Maharaj is praying to Lord Krishna. And please, don't give me what I want. You know, whatever it is, material, don't fulfill it. That's a nice prayer. And shows what a schizophrenic place we are. Don't. It's like a drug addict. He knows that heroin is going to kill him. He knows that. But he is going for another one. And that's very simply Krishna concludes in Bhagavad Gita. And Arjuna asks a similar question. What is this? What makes me to do things which I don't want? It's lust, you know. It's a mechanism. It's like you feel some itch. Well, what makes you to scratch it? You don't even think about it. You will just scratch it. And that can get dangerous. And by scratching, more itching sensation comes. And then you scratch more, and it's just for life. This is exactly how sanctification works. It's at the end, completely unsatisfied sensation, lots of blood, and still nothing is done. This whole society is arranged like this. More advertisement, more agitation, more internet. Hey, let's get into it. What? You know what you could get if you would try harder? Like in Sweden, they had a sticky on their walls always. We try harder. Yeah, keep on trying harder. For what? It's not even specified. We can easily apply this in Krishna consciousness. Yes, we try also harder. For what? For stopping trying harder. To be a fool in this world. It's a question of personal development. This makes life difficult because nobody will take it away. It's like this is a pathetic thing of being authority, especially in Krishna consciousness. It's absolute pathos. Authority for what? For people who came first of all voluntarily, who want to give up something which they don't know really if they want to and what it is. They just know it's painful. That feeling they have. But they cannot sometimes even define what they want to give up. They don't even know. Sometimes even because the mind and the intelligence are the seed places from the rust. So they develop the schemes. How to look Krishna conscious and act like a materialist. That's the mind and the intelligence. They go, hey, let's spend some tilak. Big devotee. Let's say some hair, even bigger devotee. Let's put 20 neckbeards. Mahavaishnava, straight from the Dharma. Power! Let's make parikrama around Govardhan over and over and over and over again. That's very purifying. Is it? There is still the question open. What do you want after the parikrama? What do you want after you lost your hair? I remember the counselors loved that, or guests in a students in the school program. And they say, why don't you have any hair? Used to be a very popular question. Why don't you have any hair? Yeah. I got so tired of this and I said, why do you have a hair? Because from my point of view, I can ask also, why do you have a hair? Well, I don't know, it's just growing there, it's just, And then of course the girls sing, especially girls sing, is beautiful. Hair is very important. Prabhupada said, hair is very important. Very important. But even in a negative state, and it's shaved, a Vaishnava wife will say, you look beautiful, your hair is shaved. But it's still hair, The issue is still hair. The point made here by Dadichi, it's not, against it and it's not for it. It simply doesn't exist. Hair, not hair. Lots of hair, small hair, big hair, it's hair. So this is a real renunciation, that you are so absorbed in another dimension of reality that it doesn't matter, long hair, small hair, big hair, sika hair, three sikas. Nowadays they don't ask these questions anymore because you have so many people running around with no hair. But in the generation I think not to have hair was, even for hippies, very challenging. Suddenly you have no hair. Big development took place. You cannot imagine what a sikas you get when you shave off the hip. They were half a meter long. I remember that. There was another fashion coming off from America, of course. An American Vaishnavas arriving there, sikas all the way down. And they made it nicely like women. I was going, wow, I would also like to have a sika like this. This is a really advanced Vaishnava. Look, here's a half a meter sika. Well, it's not really sign of advancement. Red Indians also had a good sikas. Bangs had good sikas, even in multicolored fashion came. So what? So what is it really what defines the progress? And that's actually the level of material desires. And that defines also our hierarchy. There is a hierarchy in Krishna consciousness, but not exactly. Yes, there's titles, we have titles. Prabhupada wanted titles. Very simple, he gave only 4 or 5. Nowadays we can have 55. It's like we cannot get enough of titles. There's a super mega, core. Prabhupada gave